Merchandise exports in India up in a big way, and the government's, because of the production-linked incentive schemes, hoping that a lot of manufacturing will start coming into India, or some of it they're already beginning to see. You spoke of more reforms that are required. Can you spell those out for us in terms of going beyond what the government has already delivered on? What would you individually and the IMF like to see?
The important thing to be a big part of the global supply chain is to be able to produce at very big scale. And that has always been a challenge for the Indian economy. Yes, you have some firms that are able to produce at large scale, but the vast majority of them are smaller in size. They don't employ those many people. They produce at small scale. So policies that can generate a bigger, can encourage scale is one important measure, but that requires the same reforms on land and labor, which has been taking time to happen in India. I think infrastructure is going very well in terms of the investment that they've seen, and even the recent projects are all very good. So pushing on that front would be very important. Becoming a part of trade agreements, I think that still has to be a priority, which is India is engaging with the world. Putting too many restrictions on imports of goods hampers your ability to then use the inputs that you need to export out of the country. So that's another area where I think India could make, could move on.
You spoke of tariff barriers. Not just is it happening in India, it seems to be a global phenomenon. Do you see the pandemic accelerating the trend towards not necessarily the end of globalization, but a reconfiguration of globalization where countries put their national interests first, especially given the fact that you have populist regimes in so many different countries?
Well, we're certainly seeing more restrictions go up. I mean, even India with its export restrictions on wheat, we're seeing around 30 countries that since the start of the war have put export restrictions of some kind on food and energy and other key commodities. This is a huge problem for the global economy and for the global recovery. We need a way to deal with this. We need to increase supply of all of these products and not restrict it, and that is a major problem. In terms of the more broader trend, we are concerned about fragmentation, which is that even if global trade doesn't necessarily come down, that the world becomes more fragmented into geo-economic and geopolitical blocks. And that also has deep consequences, because we know that when you have technological decoupling, when you have an increase in trade policy uncertainty, we've estimated the effects on world GDP are quite large. We are certainly concerned about this, but the whole point, I guess, of fora like this, the World Economic Forum also, is that we bring together different stakeholders so that we can be in conversation and just remind each other about the benefits of integration.
But Russia isn't here, China only marginally represented. Therefore, what's your view on this growing concern that the world could be fragmenting at least into two blocks? One is the Chinese-Russian bloc, and say another bloc led by America.
I don't think we have to take it as a given that would happen. What is clearly the case is that companies around the world, countries, are concerned about resilience, about the fact that we had the pandemic and your supply chain breakdowns that came from it. Now you have the war, the security risks associated with trading partners. So countries are going to try to build resilience. Companies are going to try to build resilience. That requires diversifying your production across more countries than you've done in the past. I think this is also an opportunity for India in that sense, because India becomes a market in which they can diversify too. But what we should avoid is creating trade policy that is going to then fragment the world, generate high levels of uncertainty, and we lose the gains. I don't think that train has left the station yet. So we need to make sure that doesn't happen.